Sweat dripped down Liam Reed's face as he watched another cadet get dragged from the bonding arena. The insectoid warrior, named Rena, clicked her mandibles in satisfaction, having just secured a bond with a sleek predator from the jungle world of Vesper 9. Around the massive circular space, hundreds of cadets from dozens of species cheered and roared their approval. This was evaluation week at the Galactic Military Academy, and everything depended on these final tests. Bond with a powerful war beast, and you earned respect, advanced placement, maybe even a command position. Fail to bond with anything, and you got assigned to supply logistics, or worse, sent home in disgrace. Liam shifted his weight, trying to see past the four-armed bulk of Torvak, a cadet from one of the heavy gravity worlds. The giant had bonded with a massive armored creature that looked like a walking tank. Torvak raised all four arms in triumph, while his instructors nodded approval. "Next group, prepare yourselves," Commander Voss announced from the raised platform. The reptilian officer's scales gleamed under the harsh lights. His voice carried across the arena without need for amplification. "Remember your training. Approach with confidence. Show no fear. Dominate or be dominated." Liam had heard these words 1,000 times during his months at the academy. Every species here seemed to understand this principle naturally. The hive warriors like Rena used pheromones to establish control. The heavy worlders like Torvak relied on pure physical strength. Others had telepathy, advanced technology, or natural weapons that made bonding easier. Humans had none of these advantages. Back on Earth, Liam had grown up on a farm in Montana, working with horses and cattle. His father always said patience and understanding worked better than force. But that philosophy seemed out of place here among species that could crush steel with their bare hands or red minds with a thought point. 3 more cadets entered the arena. They faced medium-sized war beasts, creatures that were dangerous but manageable. Within minutes, all 3 had formed successful bonds. The crowd roared again. Commander Voss made notes on his datapad, ranking the performances. Then the atmosphere changed. Guards in heavy armor began clearing the arena, weapons charged with audible hums. Medical teams moved into position near the entrance gates. "They're bringing out the Ravager," someone whispered behind Liam. The name sent ripples through the crowd. Every cadet knew about the Ravager. It came from Crimson Vale, a death world so hostile that even the Galactic Survey Corps rated it as uninhabitable. The creature had been captured 2 years ago, brought to the Academy as a potential war beast for elite warriors. But no one had managed to bond with it. 3 handlers were dead. Dozens more carried scars. The containment unit rolled into the arena, a cube of reinforced metal with energy barriers glowing blue along every edge. Inside, something moved, something big. "The Ravager has failed every bonding attempt," Commander Voss announced. "By military regulations, we must offer one final opportunity before the creature is terminated. Any cadet who wishes to attempt the bonding may volunteer. You will sign a waiver accepting full responsibility for any injury or death." Silence fell across the arena. Even the most arrogant cadets, those who had bonded with apex predators from their home worlds, remained quiet. The containment unit opened. The Ravager emerged slowly, its massive form uncoiling with liquid grace. It stood taller than Torvak, covered in dark scales that seemed to absorb light. Multiple sets of eyes scanned the arena, each glowing with fierce intelligence. Natural armor plating covered its shoulders and spine. When it moved, muscles rippled beneath the scales like steel cables sliding under leather. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. The creature roared, a sound that vibrated through the floor and made several cadets step backward. It tested the energy barriers, keeping it contained in the center ring, slamming against them with enough force to make the generators whine in protest. "Any volunteers?" Commander Voss asked, though his tone suggested he expected none. Rena clicked her mandibles nervously. Torvak crossed all 4 arms and looked away. Other cadets suddenly found the floor very interesting. Liam watched the Ravager carefully. Everyone else saw an uncontrollable monster. They saw a creature too dangerous to exist, too violent to serve any purpose. But Liam saw something else. He noticed how the Ravager's eyes tracked every movement around it, how it tested the barriers methodically, looking for weaknesses, how it positioned itself to keep all the exits in view. This was not mindless rage. This was intelligence trapped in an impossible situation, reacting the only way it knew how. The creature reminded Liam of a horse named Thunderback on the farm. Everyone said Thunder was mean, broken, unfixable. His father had bought the horse cheap from someone who had beaten it regularly. It took Liam 6 months of patient work, but eventually Thunder became the gentlest animal on the property. Maybe the Ravager was not untamable. Maybe it just had never met anyone willing to try the right way. Liam took a breath and pushed through the crowd. He walked down the steps toward the arena floor. Behind him, cadets muttered in surprise. Ahead, Commander Voss noticed his approach, and his reptilian eyes widened slightly. "Cadet Reed," Voss said, his voice carrying a warning. "Think carefully about this decision." "I would like to attempt the bonding, sir," Liam said clearly. The entire academy fell silent. Thousands of eyes turned toward the human cadet, the one species everyone quietly agreed was least suited for military service. Humans had no natural advantages, no special abilities, no evolutionary gifts that made them warriors, and now one of them wanted to face the Ravager. Commander Voss studied Liam for a long moment. "You understand the risks? You understand that this creature has killed trained handlers?" "Yes, sir." "And you still wish to proceed?" "Yes, sir." Voss handed him a data pad. "Sign the waiver." Liam signed without reading it. His hand was steady. "Clear the arena," Voss ordered. "Prepare for bonding attempt." The arena floor felt different when you stood on alone. Liam walked to the center while guards sealed the entrance behind him. Above, thousands of faces pressed against observation windows. He could feel their eyes, their judgment, their certainty that they were about to watch him die. The energy barriers around the Ravager flickered and died. Nothing separated them now except 30 feet of open space. The creature turned its massive head, all those glowing eyes focusing on Liam. For a moment, neither moved. Then the Ravager lowered its body, muscles coiling like springs, and charged at IT moved faster than anything that size should move. In seconds, it closed half the distance between them, claws tearing grooves in the metal floor. The sound echoed like thunder. Every instinct screamed at Liam to run. His heart hammered against his ribs. His legs wanted to carry him anywhere else. But he had seen this before, back on the farm. Animals tested you. They wanted to know if you would stand your ground or flee like prey. He planted his feet and stood still. The Ravager skidded to a stop less than 10 feet away, kicking up sparks from the floor. It roared again, this time directly in his face. The sound was deafening. Liam felt the heat of its breath, smelled the sharp scent of its anger and fear. He did not run. He did not raise his hands defensively. He simply stood there, breathing slowly, keeping his body language calm. The creature circled him. Its tail lashed back and forth, scraping against the floor. It moved around him 3 times, testing, watching, waiting for him to make a mistake. Through the observation windows, Liam could hear muffled gasps and shouts. Someone was probably taking bets on how long he would survive, but as the Ravager circled, Liam noticed things. The way its scales were scarred in places where electric prods had burned it. The way one eye had a faint cloudiness, probably from some handler's weapon. The way it favored its right side slightly, as if old injuries still caused pain. This creature had been hurt over and over by beings who saw it as a tool or a problem to solve through force. Liam did something that probably looked insane to everyone watching. He sat down on the floor, cross-legged, vulnerable. He lowered his eyes slightly, not staring directly at the Ravager, but keeping it in his peripheral vision. Then he just breathed, slow and steady, letting his shoulders relax. The Ravager stopped circling. It stood in front of him, head tilted slightly, clearly confused by this response. Every other being who entered this arena had come with weapons, with technology, with aggression or fear. This human brought none of those things. Minutes passed. The crowd grew restless. Commander Voss leaned forward in his observation post, speaking quietly into his communicator. Medical teams checked their equipment, ready to rush in at any moment. The Ravager lowered its head, bringing those glowing eyes level with Liam. This close, he could see intelligence in them. Not animal cunning, but genuine intelligence. The kind that understood it was trapped, that understood the violence done to it, that understood no one here saw it as anything more than a dangerous object. Slowly, carefully, Liam extended his right hand. Palm down, fingers loose, non-threatening. The gesture his father had taught him. An offering, not a demand. An invitation, not a command. The Ravager pulled back slightly. Its eyes narrowed. Was this another trick? Another attempt to hurt it? Liam kept his hand steady. He spoke, voice barely above a whisper. I know you have been hurt. I know they have given you every reason to hate us. But I am not here to hurt you. I am not here to force you into anything. If you want to stay away from me, that is your choice. I just wanted you to know that someone sees you, not as a weapon, not as a monster, but as a living being who deserves better. He did not know if the creature understood his words. Probably not, but tone mattered. Intent mattered. Animals back home always knew the difference between someone who wanted to harm them and someone who genuinely cared. The Ravager moved closer. Its breath washed over Liam's extended hand, hot and smelling of something sharp and wild. It sniffed carefully, processing his scent, learning about him in ways humans could barely understand. Then it did something that made the entire academy gasp in shock. It pressed its massive head against Liam's chest, nearly knocking him backward. The weight was enormous, easily capable of crushing him. But the pressure was gentle, almost tentative. Liam brought his other hand up slowly and rested it on the creature's scaled head. The Ravager's eyes closed. A sound came from deep in its chest, something between a growl and a purr. Something else happened then. Something Liam had not expected. Images flashed through his mind. Memories that were not his own. He saw Crimson Vale, the death world where the Ravager had been born. He saw the capture, the violence of it. He saw handlers with electric weapons, teaching through pain. He saw other war beasts broken and destroyed when they resisted too much. The Ravager was sharing its past with him. The neural bonding, which usually required technology and careful preparation, was happening naturally. Their minds touched at the edges, not merging, but communicating in ways deeper than words. Liam felt the creature's pain, its rage, its desperate desire to be understood as more than a monster. And the Ravager felt Liam's sincerity, his respect, his genuine lack of desire to dominate or control. Trust began to form between them. Fragile at first, like new ice over water, but growing stronger with each moment. Commander Voss stood in his observation post, staring at his instruments in disbelief. The bonding readings were stronger than anything he had ever recorded. 3 days had passed since the bonding. Liam stood in the training yard with the creature he now called Storm, watching other cadets practice with their war beasts. The name felt right. Storm moved like weather, powerful and unpredictable to those who did not understand, but following natural patterns for those who paid attention. Rena approached across the yard, her war beast prowling beside her. The insectoid cadet had been avoiding Liam since the bonding, but now she clicked her mandibles in what might have been respect or curiosity. How did you do it? She asked bluntly. My people have pheromone control, biological advantages that took millions of years to evolve. You have nothing, yet you succeeded where everyone else failed. Storm growled low in his throat. Liam rested a hand on the creature's flank, and the growl stopped immediately. I did not try to control him, Liam said simply. I just tried to understand him. Rena stared at him for a long moment, then walked away without another word. But Liam noticed she moved differently with her own beast after that conversation. Less commanding and more cooperative, Commander Voss called the cadets to formation. New orders from High Command, the reptilian officer announced. A research station in the outer reaches has sent a distress signal. Raiders have attacked, and civilian scientists are trapped inside. Your final evaluation has been moved up. You will deploy immediately for a real combat operation. Excited murmurs ran through the assembled cadets. This was what they had trained for. Real action, not just simulations and exercises. Form up in your assigned squads, Voss continued. Cadet Reed and his bonded beast will join the Vanguard team. We move out in 1 hour. The Vanguard was the most dangerous position. First through the doors, first to face enemy fire. Some cadets shot Liam sympathetic looks. Others seemed pleased that the human would face the greatest danger. Torvak, the four-armed giant, simply nodded once in recognition. The transport ship was cramped and smelled of too many different species packed into too small a space. War beasts were secured in the cargo bay, separated from their bonded partners by necessity. Liam could feel Storm's presence through their bond, a constant awareness at the back of his mind. The creature was calm but alert, ready for whatever came next. First combat is always strange, a veteran soldier said from across the bay. He was from a feline species, scarred and missing part of one ear. You train for years, but nothing really prepares you for the moment when someone is actually trying to kill you. Liam nodded, not trusting his voice. His hands were steady, but his stomach felt tight. Fear was natural, his father used to say. Only fools felt no fear. Courage was not the absence of fear, but moving forward despite it. The ship shuddered as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Through the viewports, Liam could see the research station, a small structure clinging to an asteroid. Scorch marks scarred its hull. Several sections showed breach damage. Their atmospheres vented into space. Raiders are marauders, Commander Voss said over the communications system. Heavy assault species, no concept of mercy. They take no prisoners and give no quarter. Expect fierce resistance. The transport docked hard, magnetic clamps engaging with metallic thuds. The cargo bay opened, releasing the war beasts. Storm bounded through the chaos of moving bodies to reach Liam's side. Through their bond, Liam felt the creature's eagerness for action, but also its concern for him. Storm would protect him, even at the cost of its own life. "We protect each other," Liam whispered, scratching behind Storm's armored headplate. The creature rumbled acknowledgement. The assault began immediately. Doors blasted open and teams poured into the station's corridors. Weapons fire lit the darkness, energy bolts and projectiles creating a deadly light show. The marauders had fortified their positions. Firing from behind overturned equipment and structural supports. Liam and Storm moved together through the chaos. The bond let them communicate instantly, without need for words or signals. Storm felt what Liam intended, and Liam understood Storm's instincts. When the creature sensed danger from a side passage, Liam reacted before the marauders even appeared. When Liam spotted a tactical advantage, Storm moved to exploit it before being told. Other cadets struggled with communication delays. Rena shouted commands that her beast only half understood. Torvak's armored war beast was powerful but slow to respond. But Liam and Storm operated as a single unit, anticipating and adapting faster than anyone else. They found the first group of trapped scientists in a sealed lab. The door had been damaged, locking mechanism fused by weapons fire. Storm's claws were strong enough to tear through the weakened metal. 5 researchers stumbled out, 3 different species, all terrified. "Head back to the transport," Liam directed them. "Medical teams are waiting." A massive marauder appeared at the corridor's end, weapon raised. Storm lunged forward, taking the hit meant for Liam. The creature's natural armor absorbed most of the damage, but Liam felt the pain echo through their bond. Rage flared in him, protective and fierce. He returned fire while Storm recovered, driving the raider back into cover. They pushed deeper into the station. More civilians rescued, more marauders driven back or eliminated. But intelligence reports were troubling. The raiders had taken hostages in the station's core, using them as shields and leverage. The corridor leading there was a kill zone, heavily defended and filled with traps. Commander Voss called for a tactical retreat to regroup and plan a proper assault. But Liam studied the station's layout on his datapad and noticed something others had missed. Environmental conduits ran parallel to the main corridors. Maintenance passages too small for most species, but possibly navigable with the right approach that he approached Voss with his plan. Commander Voss studied the station schematic Liam had pulled up, his reptilian eyes narrowing. These maintenance passages were not designed for combat insertion. They are barely wide enough for a single person, and your war beast will not fit through most sections. Storm can squeeze through tighter spaces than you would think, Liam said. And if we move fast, we can reach the hostages before the marauders expect any approach from that direction. Torvak stepped forward, his forearms crossed. This is dangerous even by Vanguard standards. You could get trapped, cut off from support. The hostages do not have time for a prolonged siege, Liam replied. Every minute we wait increases the chance the raiders will execute them. Voss looked from Liam to Storm and back again. Finally, he nodded. You have authorization, but take a comm unit and maintain contact. If you encounter resistance you cannot handle, fall back immediately. Liam and Storm entered the maintenance passages through an access panel near the damaged cargo bay. The space was tight, lit only by emergency strips that flickered irregularly. Pipes and conduits lined the walls, some hissing with coolant or crackling with electricity. Storm moved carefully, his large body scraping against the narrow confines. But the creature trusted Liam's guidance through their bond. They navigated in near silence. Liam's heart pounded, but he kept his breathing steady. Storm sensed his tension and sent calming impulses through their connection. The creature had faith in him, which somehow made Liam feel braver. Twice they encountered obstacles. A collapsed section forced them to backtrack and find another route. A coolant leak created a pool of liquid that would have frozen exposed skin in seconds, requiring them to climb through overhead ducts instead. But through it all, Storm followed Liam's lead without hesitation. They reached a junction point near the station's core. Through a ventilation grate, Liam could see into the hostage chamber. 12 marauders stood guard around 23 scientists of various species. The raiders were relaxed, confident, unaware that anyone had breached their perimeter. Liam activated his comm unit, whispering coordinates to Commander Voss. In position. Beginning entry in 30 seconds. Acknowledged, Voss responded. Main force will assault the primary corridor on your signal to draw their attention. Liam counted down, then kicked the ventilation grate free. He dropped in the chamber with Storm right behind him. The warbeast landing creating a thunderous impact that made everyone freeze. The Marauder commander, a scarred veteran named Grask, recovered first. He laughed, a harsh sound like grinding metal. One human cadet and a beast? This is what the Coalition sends to rescue their people. The other raiders leveled their weapons, spreading out to create overlapping fields of fire. They were experienced soldiers, not easily surprised or frightened. Liam stepped forward, placing himself between Storm and the hostages. You are trapped here, Grask. Coalition forces control every exit. Your ships are disabled. Surrender now, and your lives will be spared. Grask's laughter grew louder. A human offering me terms? Your species barely left your own world before begging the Coalition for protection. You have no fangs, no claws, no natural weapons. What makes you think you can threaten me? I do not need to threaten you, Liam said calmly. I just need you to make a choice. Walk out of here alive, or face Storm with no restraint. Take the human alive, Grask ordered his warriors. I want to make an example of his arrogance. The Marauders moved in coordinated patterns, trying to surround Liam and Storm. But they had made a critical error in judgment. They saw a lone cadet and a war beast, two separate entities that could be divided and conquered. They did not understand what Liam and Storm truly were together. Storm moved like liquid shadow, faster than anything that size should move. Liam directed him through their bond, not with commands but with shared intent. They anticipated each other's actions perfectly. When Storm engaged 3 raiders on the right, Liam covered the left with precise weapons fire. When Liam identified a threat from above, Storm was already leaping to intercept. The Marauders were skilled fighters, but they had never faced opponents who operated as a single consciousness. Every attack they launched was countered before it landed. Every advantage they tried to press was neutralized by coordinated response that a raider lunged at Liam with a blade. Storm's tail caught the attacker mid-leap, sending him crashing into a wall. Another tried to flank them, but Liam had already seen the movement through Storm's peripheral awareness and dropped the threat with 2 shots. Grask himself entered the fight, pulling a massive powered axe from his back. He was bigger than Torvak, covered in battle scars and augmented with combat implants. He swung the weapon in wide arcs that would have cut through armor like paper. Storm met him head-on, armor plates deflecting the axe blade with showers of sparks. The creature fought with controlled fury, powerful but precise, never allowing rage to override tactical thinking. Liam provided covering fire, keeping the other raiders from supporting their commander. Then everything changed. A raider broke from the main fight and rushed toward the hostages, weapon raised to execute a young researcher. Storm was engaged with Grask. There was no time to stop the attack. Liam threw himself forward, tackling the raider from the side. They crashed together into a console. Pain exploded through Liam's ribs as the raider's armored elbow connected. He tasted blood but held on, keeping the enemy focused on him instead of the hostages. The raider was stronger, experienced, and wearing armor. Liam had training and desperation. The raider's fist connected with Liam's jaw, snapping his head back. Stars exploded across his vision. Another hit landed in his ribs, right where the previous impact had struck. Something cracked, and breathing became agony. But he did not let go. If he released this raider, the hostage behind him would die. Through the bond, Storm felt Liam's pain. The creature roared, a sound that made the entire chamber shake. Something fundamental shifted in Storm's demeanor. The careful control vanished, replaced by protective fury that bordered on primal rage. But even in that rage, Storm remained aware of the hostages, keeping his violence focused on threats and away from innocence. Storm broke away from Grass with a move that left the Marauder commander staggering. The war beast crossed the chamber in 3 massive bounds, grabbed the raider fighting Liam, and hurled him across the room with enough force to dent the metal wall where he impacted. Liam collapsed, clutching his ribs. Blood ran from his split lip. Everything hurt, but he forced himself to stay conscious, stay alert. The fight was not over. The main doors exploded inward as Commander Voss and the assault teams breached the chamber. Caught between Storm's fury and fresh coalition forces, the remaining Marauders dropped their weapons. Even Grask, bleeding from multiple wounds, recognized defeat when it stared him down. "Surrender," Voss commanded. "You have fought well, but this ends now." Grask threw down his axe with a clang that echoed through the chamber. His warriors followed suit. The battle was over. Medical teams rushed in immediately. A medic from an amphibian species knelt beside Liam, scanning him with diagnostic equipment. 3 cracked ribs, minor internal bruising, facial lacerations. Nothing life-threatening, but you need treatment. Storm growled, low and dangerous, when a medic reached for Liam. The creature's eyes blazed with protective instinct, still riding the edge of violence. "Easy, boy," Liam whispered, his voice rough. "She is trying to help. Stand down." Storm's growl subsided, but the creature did not move away. He positioned himself between Liam and everyone else, a living shield that radiated warning to anyone who might pose a threat. Commander Voss approached carefully, showing his empty hands. "Impressive work, Cadet Reed. You saved 23 lives today and helped secure a valuable research facility. The Coalition owes you a debt." "Just did what needed doing, sir," Liam managed, wincing as the medic applied a numbing agent to his ribs. "That wound you took, throwing yourself at that raider," Voss continued. "You could have let Storm handle it. You risked your life for a stranger." "Storm was occupied," Liam said simply. "Someone had to act." One of the rescued scientists, an elderly researcher with blue-tinted skin and kind eyes, stepped forward. She moved slowly, clearly aware of Storm's protective state. "Young warrior, you saved my life. That raider would have killed me. I will remember this always." Liam nodded to her, then turned his attention to Storm. The creature's breathing was still elevated, adrenaline pumping through both their shared connection. Liam placed his hand on Storm's scaled head, projecting calm through their bond. "We are safe now," he said softly. "You did perfectly. You protected them all, but the fight is over. You can rest." Storm's eyes slowly dimmed from their battle-bright intensity. The creature pressed against Liam carefully, mindful of his injuries, seeking reassurance that his human partner was truly all right. The journey back to the academy took 3 days. Liam spent most of it in the medical bay while his ribs healed. Storm refused to leave his side, sleeping on the floor next to the bed. Nurses and doctors worked around the massive war beast because trying to remove him was pointless. Rena visited on the second day. The insectoid cadet clicked her mandibles thoughtfully as she studied Liam and Storm. "I've been thinking about what you said, about understanding instead of controlling. I tried it with my bonded beast. The connection grew stronger. It takes time," Liam said. "Trust is not built in a day." "No," Rena agreed. "But you have shown us something important. Strength comes in many forms." Torvak visited as well, his 4 arms carrying gifts from other cadets. "The academy is talking about you," the giant rumbled. "Some say you were lucky. Others say you were brave. A few say you were simply insane. Maybe all three," Liam said with a slight smile that hurt his healing lip. "I say you understand something we have forgotten," Torvak replied. "Warriors bond with their beasts through dominance. You bonded through respect. The difference shows in battle." Word spread through the coalition military about the human cadet and the formerly untamable war beast who fought as one. Questions arose. Reports were filed. Analysis conducted. High Command took notice. 2 weeks after the rescue operation, Commander Voss received orders. A delegation from the War Council would arrive at the Academy to observe Liam and Storm directly. This was unprecedented. The Council rarely involved itself in cadet affairs unless something truly significant had occurred. Liam felt nervous when Voss delivered the news. "What do they want, sir?" "To see if your methods can be replicated," Voss replied. "To determine if the way you bond with Storm represents a new approach to Warbeast partnership, and possibly to test whether you can extend your success to other difficult cases." "Other cases?" Voss nodded grimly. "There are 17 Warbeasts currently scheduled for termination across Coalition facilities, all deemed too dangerous or unstable for service. High Command wants to know if you can reach them the way you reach Storm." Liam looked at Storm, who rumbled thoughtfully. Through their bond, he felt the creature's concern but also its support. Storm believed in him. The War Council delegation arrived on a ship that made the Academy's vessels look like toys. Representatives from the most powerful species in the Coalition descended on the training grounds with an entourage of advisors, scientists, and military observers. They watched Liam and Storm run exercises, taking notes, and speaking in low tones among themselves. One of them, a tall being with crystalline skin that refracted light in rainbow patterns, approached Liam after a particularly complex drill. "I am Counselor Thessa. Your bond with this creature is remarkable," Cadet read. "Our xenopsychologists have never recorded such deep integration between species." "Storm makes it easy," Liam replied, scratching behind the Warbeast's armored headplate. "He is incredibly intelligent." "That is precisely our interest," Thessa said. "For generations, we have approached Warbeast bonding as a matter of control and dominance. Strong warriors paired with powerful creatures through force of will and sometimes technology. But your method appears fundamentally different." She gestured to her assistants, who activated a holographic display. Images of various warbeasts appeared, each marked with red status indicators. "These 17 creatures have been condemned as unbondable. Too violent, too traumatized, or too intelligent to accept traditional bonding methods. Before they are terminated, we would like you to attempt contact with one. If your approach works with others, it could revolutionize our entire Warbeast program." Liam felt the weight of those words. 17 lives hanging in the balance. Creatures condemned for being what trauma and poor treatment had made them. "I will try," he said simply. They brought the first creature 2 days later. It came from an ice world, covered in white fur with multiple rows of jagged teeth and eyes that burned with feral hatred. Handlers kept it sedated and bound with energy chains. Even unconscious, it radiated danger. "This one has killed 4 handlers," a beastmaster explained. "Every bonding attempt resulted in violence. We cannot risk another death." "Then give me time with it alone," Liam said. The beastmasters exchanged uncertain glances. Commander Voss stepped forward. "I will authorize this. Clear the training area." Cadet Reed enters alone. They woke the creature in the center of the arena and immediately released all restraints before retreating quickly. The ice beast rose slowly, shaking off the sedation. It saw the handlers fleeing and roared its rage at years of imprisonment and pain. Then it saw Liam, standing calmly 20 feet away. Storm watched from outside the arena, trusting his human partner but ready to intervene if necessary. Liam applied everything he had learned. He removed his weapons and sat down on the floor. He made himself vulnerable but not weak, present but not threatening. He breathed slowly and projected calm. The ice beast charged, testing him like Storm had tested him. Liam held his ground. The creature circled, trying to intimidate him. Liam remained still. Finally, confused by this lack of fear or aggression, the beast approached cautiously. Liam extended his hand, palm down. He spoke softly about understanding and respect. The ice beast sniffed his hand, processing his scent and intent. The bond did not form as strongly as it had with Storm. That connection was unique, built over time and through shared experience. But communication established itself. The ice beast calmed, responding to someone who finally treated it as a being rather than a weapon. Counselor Thessa watched from the observation deck with wide eyes. Remarkable. He has established basic trust in less than an hour. Some of our best beast masters have worked for months without achieving this. Over the following weeks, Liam worked with 7 more condemned creatures. Not all responded as well as the ice beast. Some bonds formed quickly, others took patient time. But in each case, his approach of respect and understanding yielded results that traditional methods had failed to achieve. The War Council made their decision. Liam was given an immediate field commission and tasked with developing a new training program for war beast bonding. The old methods would not be abandoned entirely, but his techniques would be taught alongside them, giving handlers more tools and creatures more chances. Graduation day arrived with ceremony and tradition. Liam stood with his class, Storm beside him as the assembled cadets received their assignments and commendations. When his name was called, the entire academy rose to their feet in respect. Commander Voss presented him with honors, his reptilian face showing something that might have been pride. Cadet Reed, you have taught us that strength takes many forms. You showed us that patience can achieve what force cannot. You reminded us that every being, no matter how dangerous or damaged, deserves to be treated with dignity. Rena clicked her mandibles in approval. Torvak raised all 4 arms in salute. Other cadets who had once dismissed humans as weak now recognized a different kind of power. Later, Liam stood on an observation deck overlooking the training grounds. New cadets were arriving, and he could see the changes already taking effect. Handlers approached their assigned beasts with more patience. Instructors taught respect alongside control. Creatures once deemed worthless were being given second chances. Storm pressed his massive head against Liam's shoulder, and through their bond came a feeling of contentment and pride. They had changed something important together. A young cadet approached nervously, asking for advice about a troubled beast she had been assigned. Liam smiled and agreed to help. As they walked toward the training areas, he reflected on the journey that had brought him here. The galaxy was vast and filled with countless species, each with their own strengths and advantages. Humans had no natural weapons, no telepathy, no enhanced strength. But they had something else: the ability to see beyond surface differences, the patience to understand rather than dominate, the compassion to recognize pain in others, and the courage to face it without flinching. In the arena below, another cadet sat quietly before a scarred war beast, hand extended in offering. The creature approached cautiously, sniffed, and slowly lowered its head in trust. The revolution had begun, and it would spread across the stars.